On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Resentment is Always Seismic, a final throw of throws by Napalm Death.
Is that the whole title?
The title is longer than most of their songs. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Cam.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal. We like to talk about it. And today, yes, that very long title EP from Napalm Death. And I said most of their songs. By that, I meant on Scum.
Yeah. Well, you know, the EP is actually fairly short as well. I mean,
it's a short one. The songs on it are not necessarily super short.
No, like the remix of the... was it Resentment? Is that the name of the song?
Yeah. Well, the song is Resentment is the first one is Resentment Always Simmers. And then remix is Resentment is Always Seismic. In parentheses, dark. Oh, God, I can't read the whole thing.
Damn it, Napalm Death.
A band is usually known for their brevity.
Right.
Dark. Sky, Burial, Dirge. That's what it is. I had to wait for it to scroll across the bottom of my phone on Spotify. But that one's relatively long.
I feel like Shane remixed that one himself.
Probably.
Yeah.
They're like Napalm Death has taken, I think, continuously interesting turns in their career. They're definitely we've talked like a lot of albums that you've brought over the last couple of months are by bands that haven't really changed a lot over the course of their career.
This one has.
Holy shit, has Napalm Death changed and developed time and time and time again throughout their career. They started as just a hardcore punk band, albeit a very intense one.
Very intense.
And then became, the grindcore band that defined what grindcore was for basically a decade. And immediately after they did that, they became a death metal band.
Right.
They were like, all right, now that we've defined this genre, let's not do it anymore.
Ska, guys? You ready? Yeah.
But, and because I sort of have... my knowledge of Napalm Death is kind of limited to the two ends of their career.
Sure.
I haven't listened to a lot of stuff in the middle. Like I've listened to their first couple of albums with Barney.
Sure.
I've listened to bits and pieces of Scum because you don't really need to listen to Scum all the way through.
Well, you can though.
No, you can.
Easy.
It doesn't take very long, but it's like, I know what this is. I know, you can just listen to a couple of songs and that takes, 90 seconds.
Right.
And
or the Peel sessions. You listening to that?
I don't think I've listened to the Peel sessions, but yeah, it's like I know what their early death metal sound is, and then I know their newer sound, which is still like throw. What the fuck is the name of the full album? The album titles have become so verbose. Good Lord. I said it earlier today while we were talking.
Resentment is Always Seismic.
No.
Oh, you're talking about...
the album. Now, Throes of Joy in the Jaws of Defeatism.
Right.
That came out in 2020. That one...
also an EP.
Still... No, that was an album.
Was it a full album?
That was a full album.
Yeah, it was.
That's their last full album.
Right.
Still I think was very much a death metal album, but it has so much more going on in it than, in the way that Harmony Corruption is a death metal album, but
definitely
that's, very much other than the sort of grindcore edge to it. It's just a death metal album.
Well, and the thing is in 1991, when you say just death metal, it was fucking cutting edge. I mean, it was
absolutely.
Yeah.
But Throes of Joy is got so much going on. They brought in so much influence from contemporary hardcore. The specific band I think that a lot of them are really into, I think, is a British band called Swans.
Sure, yeah.
Or it might be Daughter. I can't remember the difference. There's a band called Daughter, and then there's a band called Daughters, and I don't remember which one is which. One is a hardcore band, and the other one is a dream pop band.
And they tour together.
I've listened. I haven't listened to the hardcore one. I have listened to the dream pop one, and I very much like it. But it's my sort of like moody, sad kind of dream pop that I can get into. But like where was I going with that? Oh yeah, bringing in the reference point that I have for that sort of sound they brought in is Code Orange.
Sure,
is my reference point for that sound they brought in. Code Orange is very much I think of type with like modern hardcore punk, bringing in a lot of electronic elements and making things a lot darker and moodier and trying to actually bands that are actually doing something with developing the genre instead of just, continuing to do the same stuff that people have been doing since the mid 80s.
And it makes me happy because these guys are in their 50s now. I mean,
yeah, they're still these dogs have continued to learn new tricks. Yeah. They never stopped learning new tricks.
Right. Right. I remember the first time I heard this band, it was I think I've brought up this compilation a few times. It was a VHS magazine that came out bi-monthly. It was called Hard and Heavy.
It sounds like a porn magazine.
It does, but it was a metal magazine, and they interviewed this band. Obviously they were in the middle of a tour, so every time they talked to Barney, he was like my voice hurts a lot. Yeah, and then they talked to their drummer Mick, who's not with the band anymore, but he was just this guy who was just a nervous energy,
completely wired in,
and he was showing off all those tattoos. We're totally chuffed. We're so chuffed to play this show tonight. We're gonna play again tomorrow. It's gonna be great. I love being with Napalm. And then like the next record, he was gone. But the weird thing is, the turn is that he started. I can't remember the name of the band. He started making dark ambient music.
Why not?
Which is fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah,
it's great. Dark ambient, but I never saw Mick Harris becoming.
I feel like Napalm Death is one of those bands where if the band were to entirely dissolve and everybody went off to do their own individual projects, I would not be surprised by if Shane Embry ended up doing just entirely electronic music the rest of his career. I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
If Barney Greenway joined a prog metal band, that wouldn't surprise me. Like they each and every one of them could go off and do anything in any genre, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. They're weird. They're doing weird stuff.
I'm just imagining in my mind, a man sitting, backstage, after the show, and the band comes back and says, "Hey, Labrie, you're out."
Dream Theater. I mean, Dream Theater has performed live with Barney Greenway on vocals. They were doing a Metallica cover, but that has happened. I think that would be it would be interesting, but
sure.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Napalm Death in a while. This isn't a super long album to talk about necessarily, but there's a bunch of weird shit. There's a couple of covers on here that are one of which is extremely bizarre.
Are you talking about the slab? Oh, sorry, slab. Talking about the slab cover.
I'm talking. Yeah, no, I'm talking about People Pie.
Yeah, it's a slab song.
Okay, I didn't know who originally had done.
And there's an exclamation point at the end of their name,
like wham.
Yeah,
but so different.
Slab.
But how are you doing this eve?
I'm doing fine and dandy. I mean, everything is sort of coming together. I've been sort of
it's all coming together.
It's all coming together. I've been sort of on a little bit of a dry spell, in the good way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel better. Tonight I tried to make my version of chicken satay.
You've described this to me, and I'm still.
It's a peanut chicken sauce. On a piece
I still can't help but picture an entire chicken on a dowel.
No,
that's been slathered with peanut butter.
Imagine a chicken kebab.
Okay,
it's not on a dowel, on a skewer.
Is it a Cornish game hen? Like a little one.
It's actually made from Cornish gay men. It's actually
that's a crime.
Yeah, that's
a hate crime.
I mean, they're not dead.
Oh,
yeah, they're fine.
Oh,
they're just on a skewer for some reason. Some people are into that, I guess.
All right, Vlad the Impaler.
See what else?
They're still alive for now.
No, Max and I, my youngest child, I've been watching the Moon Knight.
Oh yes, how's that?
It's gotten weird.
I mean, I feel like that was to be expected.
Sure. I mean, it started out kind of weird, and now it's gotten weirder.
Moon Knight has always been like an extremely. He's definitely down in that layer of Marvel characters that all of them are weird.
Yeah.
You get down to the level of Moon Knight and they're all weird and they all have like this sort of niche kind of fan base and they all have the thing that they do. And Moon Knight's thing is, I guess that the thing that confuses me is like so many like clippings I've seen of or screenshots I've seen of like Moon Knight comics. It's just like I feel like he's just Deadpool but different.
He's like Deadpool Batman.
Yeah, he's Deadpool but Batman.
Yeah.
And he's, what if Batman was weird and crazy?
Yeah, and had magical abilities
instead of Batman just being normal and mentally unwell but stable.
Sure.
Just clearly extremely troubled. I still need to watch The Batman.
Sure. Great movie. I mean, don't take that from me. Take that from just about everybody else.
Yeah, most other people say it's quite good.
Also, a movie I want to see is because I saw that Jeremy Jahns dude do a review of The Northman.
Yeah, I want to watch The Northman as well.
Which he was like, holy shit! It's like, how can something be so beautiful and so brutal at the same time?
It's a Robert Eggers movie.
Well,
That's how they all. I mean, I guess the vast majority of The Lighthouse and The Witch are not brutal, I would say, but they're hauntingly beautiful films that I haven't seen The Witch. I have seen The Lighthouse, and it does get when it like once it reaches the peak, it's like, oh, Jesus, there is a very right at the end, very brief, very intense and disturbing violence. But yeah, it's I did read, however, that like it is kind of sad in the sense that the movie was given quite a large budget.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like I don't understand the thought process of a production company giving a Robert Eggers film a huge budget, thinking that it's going to recoup that huge budget. Like have you seen this guy's movies? They're weird and beautiful and haunting, but they're not crowd pleasers. I don't care if, people are horny for more Vikings content now that the History Channel show is done. I don't care if that's a niche that you think you can fill. I
started watching that too.
Vikings?
Yeah.
I fell off of fight. We could talk about that later, but like I know people like Alexander Skarsgård and whatnot.
Sure.
And
everybody else in the movie.
But you also have to look at like, okay, he put Bjork in the movie.
Right. And she's amazing in it.
You have to imagine, though, if a movie has got Bjork in it, it's gonna be fucking weird. It's gonna be weird as fuck. And like, I saw the first trailer for The Northman. And I was like, I'm going to love this. Yeah. This is everything I like, but I like weird shit.
Yeah. And he says, by the way, the brutal violence there's not a lot of it. It's what's there kicks it up. But he says there's a lot of people are saying there's a lot of downtime. He said, I didn't feel that at all. I felt, that everything had purpose and everything was story building. And
some people just have so little patience for slow moments in any movie. Like that's one thing that really bothers me we've talked so many times about Disney Star Wars to the point that, we include a joke in every single episode of this podcast since the last big Disney Star Wars movie came out. But like, one of the things that bugged me about those movies is that at no point other than, the very end big climax, throughout the entire rest of those films, no one ever lets a moment breathe for a little bit.
Right.
something happens. Oh, and somebody's got to make a witty comment.
Sure.
Like, no, just let the mood settle for 10 seconds between fucking Poe Dameron saying something funny. Like, let something tragic be tragic for a little while. Let the characters ruminate on that before they immediately go to make a joke about it. That's
what I loved about 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
They that was still an era where people needed that in a movie.
Yeah.
Now everybody's,
shit, even there are like the prequels, which got torn, have been rightfully, I think, torn apart many times for so many glaring issues. Even in those movies, there are still quiet moments where there's no dialogue and people are just like looking and thinking and absorbing the things that are happening to them. They're some of the better moments in those films,
right?
Because you're not hearing George Lucas written dialogue, which is awful. You just get to have these really good actors acting for a bit without saying the terrible words that George made them say.
Yeah. Or the poor guy who had to be Jar Jar. You want me to speak in
so bad for Ahmed Best.
What kind of an accent you want me to do?
Or Ahmed.
Ahmed
Ahmed Best. I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Or the kid who played Anakin in the first movie.
Sure. The only pictures you see of him
Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, you see pictures of Jake Lloyd and they're all like mug shots.
Yeah. Feel bad for him.
Yeah.
That movie ruined his life basically.
Yeah.
But it bothers me, but apparently that's what the most amount of people like.
Yeah.
And it's not me. I don't think there's something wrong with, I don't think there's anything wrong with people enjoying, popcorn movies.
That's great. I like that too. Sometimes
that's fine, but it's
not all the movies
for me. Yeah. It's just like, I like something moody on occasion. I like something that lets you sit and think and you get to stew in the vibe and the feeling of it for a while.
I worry about that with my youngest kids, that sometimes they'll be watching a movie and it'll be a movie that's, meant to be good cinema, that's, enjoyable. Hey, check out the scene. We're going to pan and pull. There's not going to be a whole lot of sound here. We're going to try to figure out what we're looking at and think about the emotions being portrayed here. And I'll see my kids going,
bored.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was probably that way too when I was either their ages. So I didn't really get a taste for slower movies until I was in college, basically. And, hitting that phase of like, I want to be into cinema. I want to be into serious movies. And it's like, okay, well, you watch these things, and these are the things you should watch and see if you enjoy them. And I ended up that I did enjoy them.
Sure.
But I should honestly watch more movies in my life. I don't think I watch enough movies on my own. I should go to the movie theater more often, but I don't, because I don't like going out. But even when I stay in, I don't watch a lot of movies because there's other stuff that I want to do that watching a movie would prevent me from doing. Because also when I'm watching a movie, I'm watching the fucking movie.
Sure.
And so if there's other stuff that I could be doing on my computer, then I'm not getting the most out of either experience.
Right.
Speaking of experiences on a computer, we've both been playing more Elden Ring.
We have.
I mean, you've been playing it on PlayStation, but the most recent boss I beat was Renala, the Full Moon Queen.
Did you really?
I beat her, and then
I've heard that she's very difficult.
She's not the worst.
She's not the worst in the game. Everybody agrees who the worst in the game is.
Yeah, that's Millennia.
Yeah.
I'm far away from her at this point. But the Renala is difficult mostly because I was doing a sorcery build, and like most of my damage that I do is magic damage, and she's resistant to that, I think. So that got a bit dicey. You can use summons for that though, so that helped out a lot once I figured out that, you can use summons here. I'm probably within the next couple of days going to beat Radon. I've gotten him very close a couple of times, but I always end up beefing it partway through the fight. I can get him to stage 2 fairly reliably. and then end up fucking it up. The problem with Radahn for me is, as a character that doesn't do a ton of damage up close and doesn't do it very quickly, it's helpful for me to have summons, and that's the point of the Radahn fight, is you can have like 6 summons at once, because the build up to it is it's this festival that his soldiers put together because he's gone, you know, completely crazy with this disease that's infected him, and they want to put him out of his misery. So they're like gathering all of the best fighters in the lands between, and they're like, hey, you know, put our general out of his misery and you get to claim his great rune.
Sure.
And it'll be a fight for the ages. And so like you can summon a whole bunch of NPCs that you may or may not have encountered up until that point. That'll help you with the fight. And once they die, you can actually find their sign again and summon them. The problem is like I am doing a magic damage build, but it is mostly melee. And when you have 6 other people up next to Radahn, it gets really fucking hard to know what is happening. Because like Alexander is wandering around and he's gigantic. He's a huge jar with, you know, arms and legs.
Sure.
And so he blocks your entire screen if he's behind your character, because it's third person. So it gets a little rough, because Alexander is there, Blythe is there, and he's also very big, and it's like it gets difficult to see what the fuck you're doing and what's going on. And it's really hard to know who Radahn is trying to attack in that moment, who he's targeting, because that makes it difficult to dodge if you don't know who he's actually trying to attack.
Is the guy there that has like the lampshade for a hat that helps you with invaders? No,
he's not there.
What happens with him?
I don't know.
Do we know? Oh, okay.
I haven't encountered him again. I might be on a different path. I don't know.
Right. I suppose you've gone through the school, right? You've gone through the...
Yeah. I've gone through Raya Lucaria all the way through.
All the way through.
Yeah. That's Renala is the boss of that area.
I wish I'd have had time for this. I haven't had time.
Yeah.
Got responsibilities. Children.
Oh. Stupid kids. Stupid kid. Get out of here, kid. Can't you see this is where the cool people hang out? We're the villains in an 80s movie. Oh. Why do we all sound like this?
For a moment there, I thought you were gonna break into what the hell's his name? You don't want any of this, Dewey.
You don't want any of this shit, Dewey. I think what I was doing, I'm not a Pokemon fan, but I think I was essentially doing Jesse from Pokemon.
Sure.
From Team Rocket.
Tim Meadows.
Yeah.
So I think,
Now I'm picturing Tim Meadows
as Jesse.
Dressed as Jesse from Team Rocket. No, it's very funny to me. He's just wearing the costume. I don't know why that's a very funny image to me. No middle-aged man should be wearing Team Rocket costumes.
Right.
At least, you know, as they existed in the like there needs to be some adaptation to make that not look like an outfit you would wear perhaps to a gay nightclub.
Who's Meowth in this? I mean,
who's Meowth? I'm trying to think of who would normally be in a show with Tim Meadows.
Sure. John C. Reilly.
Meowth is John C. Reilly. Hey.
You know.
Team Rocket. That was a terrible John C. Reilly version.
That was kind of almost Arnold.
I didn't think about it for even a second what John C. Reilly sounds like. Who else is usually with Tim Meadows?
What's his name? He was also on Saturday Night Live. He's been in a lot of a handful of great movies and a lot of not good movies.
I don't know.
Anchorman. Will Ferrell.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it could be Will Ferrell as well. As what the hell is the girl in Team Rocket? I don't know. I don't know anything about Pokemon. I don't remember. Oh wait, no. Jessie is the girl.
Jessie is the girl.
James is the
right.
James.
They're
is
Jesse
the guy.
James.
Yeah. Yeah, Jesse and James. I forgot. Couldn't remember. Anyway.
Moving on.
I started reading Berserk.
Yes.
Which is the first time. I'm not really one, despite the massive nerddom that I have. I'm not really one for a lot of Japanese stuff, whether it's, anime or manga or, even
tempura.
Tempura. I don't like tempura.
You don't like tempura?
I just said that because no, tempura is fine. No, or even like Japanese games. I haven't played a lot of Japanese games from Soft accepting.
Sure.
Especially recently. But yeah, I haven't played a ton of Japanese games in my life either. But playing from Soft games recently, the creator of the Dark Souls series and Demon Souls and Elden Ring and Bloodborne is heavily influenced by Berserk by Kentaro Miura. And I was like, all right, maybe I should get into this. And I was looking at stuff online. I was like, I think I would really like this. All right. Okay. So I bought and ordered some of the deluxe editions of the manga, and it's really, really good. The art is absolutely amazing, especially for a graphic novel of any kind, whether it's Western or not. Like the quality, the overall quality of the art is stellar, especially when you compare it to I have 3 compendiums of The Walking Dead. Most of the art in most of The Walking Dead is pretty bad. I believe it's Charlie Adler is the artist for most of The Walking Dead's run. I don't like his art style at all. But I think the other thing with The Walking Dead is I don't know if the comics are done now, but it was a monthly publication, whereas the way it always worked with Berserk, in my understanding, is it'll be out when it's out.
Right.
It'll be done whenever it's done.
Speaking of,
there were times where people went years
without
a single issued volume of Berserk, and then one would come out.
Speaking of graphic novels, who's doing a tour to tell people how to write stories?
Alan Moore.
Yeah, he looks crazier than ever.
I mean, he's also older than ever.
Well, true.
I think that's a sliding scale. The older he gets, the crazier he looks.
Right. I mean, he's always kind of looked like maybe he just emerged from a cave.
Yeah.
But now more so.
A cave, but it's a cave that's filled with forbidden knowledge.
Yeah,
and,
sure. Right.
Crystal spheres and whatnot that he has gazed too long and too deeply into. Sure.
He looks like a wizard.
He looks like a crazy wizard.
You're a hairy wizard.
You're a hairy wizard. I can't remember what the context was, but it was Alan Moore, and then he had a lower third underneath him that said Alan Moore, comic writer / wizard. And it's like, that's probably appropriate.
Yeah, nobody's going to balk at that. That's
the thing with Berserk is that it has a reputation for being like an extremely dark, super edgy series. It's so gory and there's so much action and violence and just horrible, awful things that happen. And that's the first thing that you hear about Berserk. The second thing that you hear is, but it also has a bunch of really deep and really interesting characters who are constantly continually developing over the course of the entire series, which is not and will never be finished since Kentaro Miura died last year. But the characters are
maybe
really
Sanderson.
Yeah, maybe Brandon Sanderson will finish Berserk, but it's like the characters are always developing and changing and learning and nobody stays static. That's the second thing you hear about Berserk. The thing that I don't think anyone talks about unless you go on fan pages on Reddit and stuff, the thing that you don't hear people talk about in general is how funny it is. It'll go from being, extreme action and violence to a cutaway panel of a character named Puck, who's this tiny little fairy or this tiny little pixie.
Sure.
Who hangs around Guts, and he'll be making the craziest face. And there's so many reaction cutaways to Puck's face, and he's going wow, and it's like,
whoa, that was crazy.
And stuff like that. But the faces are always hilarious. And he's just this tiny, and just part of, especially in that first arc, which is the Black Swordsman arc, which establishes, Guts is this really angry, extremely vindictive asshole. Like you're not supposed to like him in that first series because he's genuinely an awful person to everyone he meets. But you've got this huge hulking dude with his massive sword that has to weigh like 300 pounds. He's like 6'8". He's huge and intimidating. And then the first companion that tags along with him against his will is a tiny little pixie. And it's like that juxtaposition is hilarious to me. And I feel like it was incredibly intentional of just like, I need this character to be here to keep things from being too edgy and too dark. And I think there's a point much later in the series where Puck basically breaks the fourth wall and straight up says, without me, this would all be too dark. And he's not wrong.
Right.
But I'm really enjoying it so far. I finished paging through volume 2 today of the deluxe edition. I have 3 at the moment. Probably wait to order more because they're expensive.
Sure.
They're like $50 a volume. So probably wait on getting the rest of them. There's still a whole bunch more to go.
It's going to be about $1,000 by the time you're end of it.
Not that much, but it's a relatively sizable chunk of change. But it's also one of those things where you get a lot on, like, I think rereading will be easy, and also you'll get a lot out of it because you can, take more time to like look at all the art and whatnot. Because again, the drawings are all very, very detailed. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about it so far is that it's like, oh yeah, this is, like a comic book. But if someone actually took their time with it instead of what happens in American comics, which is deadlines, and the art usually suffers dramatically. I'm enjoying my time with it so far. Also, there's a point in the first volume where someone is talking. It's like something dark souls, and I was like, there it is.
That's the words.
He said the thing. But yeah, that's part of what I've been doing with my time.
These guys are very Sekiro.
These are very Sekiro. Now I have become Sekiro. Now I am the Elden Ring. This disease was blood-borne. It's like, oh, Miyazaki just took the title straight up from things people. Yeah. I thought they was just, aesthetically inspired.
And these Dark Souls 3.
In these Dark Souls 3. This demon's souls. Why did they say it that way?
I don't know.
It's weird. Why was Griffith talking about Bloodborne? That's weird. Anyway, shall we talk more about Napalm Death?
Yeah. I'm down.
So Napalm Death is if you don't know at this point, they're a British extreme metal band from Birmingham, not Birmingham.
They're not from Alabama.
They're not from Birmingham, Alabama. They're from Birmingham, the UK. They're Brummies, as they say over there. They've been around since the late 70s, wasn't it? Not late 70s. Yeah, early 80s. Yeah. I remember being surprised at how early they were around, though.
Yeah, and I feel like the guys that were there in the early 80s are none of the guys that are there now.
I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Let me look at that because I remember seeing like the actual year and going like, what, really?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get that right. Like I said that off the top of my head, but I'm sure I'm wrong. 81, so I wasn't that far off.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Early, 81, and of course Barney would have been what, 12 or something like that.
Yeah. What they say here is none of the group's original members, blah 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 blah. None of the group's original members remain since December of 1986.
Right.
So yeah, by that point, all the original members had been gone. But yeah, I remember being surprised that they were around that early. In 81, but as we said, they kind of started as a hardcore punk band and turned into grindcore, turned into death metal, and turned into whatever they are now. It's easiest to say extreme metal, I think,
or experimental, even kind of.
Yeah, they're definitely getting to that experimental area for sure. And there's some weird fucking stuff on this EP.
There is. I mean, yeah, this might be their Into the Pandemonium.
I'm trying to remember Into the Pandemonium. Oh, that was the one I didn't like. Was that Celtic Frost?
Yes.
Yeah, that was Celtic Frost. I didn't like that one. Yeah, there's.
But this is very likable.
This is. I would agree. I would agree with that. It's sort of kind of back and forth between stuff that's like clearly like, oh, this was a B-side from Throes of Joy.
Sure.
Or this is maybe something that like stylistically would fit in even earlier. But then there's like the cover songs on here. They got, I mean, I am assuming the original version of People Pie was also extremely weird.
From 1988. Yeah, I mean.
Their version of People Pie is bizarre.
Well, sure, yeah.
It's so fucking weird. It sounds like a Primus song is what it sounds like to me. But I mean, I have no context for Slab.
Right.
But yeah, it sounds. I think the main thing that makes me think of Primus is that extremely heavy bass that drives the entire song. But then you've got, you know, Barney doing sort of the
animals are eating people pie.
People pie. And then the out of nowhere, like female gospel chorus. Yeah. I felt like I was having a dissociative episode while I was listening. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, just zoning out, going, what am I listening to? It was so strange, so bizarre. But the others, like Slaver Through a Repeat Performance is, I think, I don't understand if that was a B-side off of Throes of Joy. I don't understand why that wouldn't have just been on Throes of Joy. Like I don't have a lot of context for them putting this EP together. And was it, oh, you know, we've written some new material and we'll put it on this EP, or was it we have this material
stuff that didn't go on that album? Maybe.
Yeah,
I think plenty of it is.
Could have been, because like I feel like a lot of these songs very well could have been on that previous album, which I think was already pretty long as far as track count, if I remember correctly. I think Throes of Joy had like 16 tracks on it or some shit. Yeah, it's 15 songs, 51 minutes, which is, in my understanding of Napalm Death's discography,
that's long,
pretty long.
Yeah, I mean, after everything after 1990 was a regular size.
That's true.
Rock and roll album.
But even then, good old rock and roll.
Yeah.
But even then, probably most of them around the 40-minute mark, I would imagine.
And there's some really good like hardcore punk shit on here. I mean,
yes, I'm trying to remember specifically which ones were more hardcore.
What was track 2 on this?
That was Resentment Always Simmers. That one was more, I mean, that fits in with like contemporary hardcore.
Yeah.
But less, there was a couple that felt a bit more old school. Like Resentment Always Simmers could very well be a Code Orange song, in my opinion. Like it's that sort of like weird kind of, not quite sonic terrorism the way Code Orange does it, but or you know, sonic torture is the how Code Orange tends to be. But I think I'm trying to like I can't remember what By Proxy sounds like. I'm trying to, because
the thing is, I listened to this. I didn't necessarily look at all the track titles, so I don't really.
I can't remember what Man Bites Dog sounds like either. That's another one that was on.
That
here.
one's also kind of weird.
Yeah, I think so.
Man Bites Dogged.
Dogged. Oh, man. Yeah, man. Okay, that's probably, that would be the pronunciation of that. Dogged, not dogged.
Yeah.
You know, dogged.
Dogged.
I got dogged back there.
Actually, that is a thing.
That is a thing. Yeah, I know.
That's not the same thing at all.
That occurred to me. But in any case, I don't know. It's a short one.
Right.
I feel like I've kind of run out of some things to talk about.
Bad Brains. Their Bad Brains cover on here.
Yes, really, that one was Don't Need It.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty good. I mean, compared to the other cover on the album, that's pretty straightforward. Yeah. I think that might be one of the ones that I'm thinking of being a more kind of traditional hardcore sounding song, because that's just Bad Brains.
Right. They were great.
I don't have a lot of experience with Bad Brains. or any experience whatsoever. I think I say that when I say I don't have a lot of experience, what I mean is none. I have none at all.
They were very good.
I should listen to more hardcore punk. I feel like a lot of it I just don't really connect with all that much.
Well, no, because it wasn't from your lifetime. It's not a product of your childhood. It's decades prior to that.
But there's things that I've listened to and come across from years before I was born that I do connect with.
Sure, and I feel like if you did listen to a lot more hardcore punk, like really dug,
I'd find some stuff.
But you find some stuff and then you go, oh, a lot of that shit that I listen to now makes more sense.
I'm not unaware of that.
But I know you're not unaware of that, but I think that until you actually give it a listen, it doesn't truly sink in.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, you know me, where it's I have trouble. Like really, I don't really like an album unless I can, unless it brings tears to my eyes, sure. Generally speaking. So that's just how I am. That's all the albums that I love are albums that make me cry. And I just haven't found anything in the hardcore sphere that really gets close, at least that has come out, sure. Before 2010. There's certain what's the band? It's the fucking band. It's the vocalist from End. That was a while ago. We listened to that one End album. I'm trying to remember the name of the Counterparts. I have the fucking sweatshirt I used to wear all the time.
Right.
Like Counterparts is very much a hardcore band, and they have stuff that I dig a lot because it's very emotional type stuff. Sure. But it's also they're a new band with guys that are a couple years older than me. Right. So it's a different thing, and I think punk is also one of those things where so much of it is so different than. I mean, I think certain genres of metal are like this as well, where you have two different camps. You have the people who are doing something new with the genre and it's still the genre. And then you have the people who are just trying to stay true to whatever that original sound was.
Right.
You've got kind of thrash revival bands. I don't know if there is that other section of thrash. I think the only new thrash bands out there are people that are just trying to do what has been done, but make it sound a little fresh, with,
as much as they can
with new recording technology.
Like I wanted to talk about that new Heathen album, the one. It's been 2 years now, I think, since it came out, and I heard the two singles from it. I'm like, this is great, and then I heard the rest of it, and I was unenthused. But I mean, it was well recorded, well played. I mean, it's Lee Altus, who's actually been a center figure in the band Exodus for a long time now.
Okay.
But yeah, it was his band that he started in 1987, 86, something like that. And I love their stuff then, and I love their second album was good, and then this new album was I just felt like they're just making the music again.
They're just doing it.
They're doing it.
We're just doing it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how it is kind of weird though, if you have those two different sections of your traditionalists and your new wave sort of people in death metal, it seems to be kind of weird because when you have new bands that are we're playing old school death metal, in its own way, that still ends up developing the genre because they always end up doing something new and kind of different.
They can't help it.
Yeah, it seems like it's impossible. We're going to be a traditional death metal band, and people listen to it and go, "Wow, this is so refreshing and new." It's but if they were really accomplishing their goal of sounding like traditional old school death metal, we would go, why would I listen to this when I could listen to Death or I could listen to Cannibal Corpse or I could no, they're doing something new. I think Grave Creeper, not Grave, Gate Creeper. Gate Creeper.
Yeah, the meat and potatoes kind of.
Yeah, they're in it. That in and of itself is doing something more or less kind of new, even if it is a very basic sort of instrumental sound and guitar tone.
Well, and you can't help it anyway because of the technology.
Yeah.
You're not, we're not going to play together into a room, into a, in like two microphones to make it stereo and then record it on a wax cylinder.
Or we
like,
fucking Burzum.
Right.
Yeah, that's and like black metal is also has that same problem, but I think it's. I mean, black metal has a lot of problems as a genre.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of. It's very
there's
murdery.
There's a lot that I enjoy. There's a lot that I very explicitly don't enjoy.
Right.
And yeah, I can't bring myself to like fucking Transylvanian Hunger by Dark Throne.
Sure.
I cannot enjoy that album. Mm-hmm. It's too much. The production is too bad.
Right.
There's a point where you have lo-fi production and up to a certain degree I will enjoy it because it brings something to the experience. At that point with Transylvanian Hunger, in my opinion, it only takes things away. I'm not left with the core of what I enjoy. No, you've stripped away my ability to enjoy the thing I'm hearing.
So whenever I think of these guys, I think, guys who are in their early 50s with corpse paint on, walking behind an old electronics store as they're, throwing out some equipment going, hey, you throwing that out?
Can I have that, please? Yeah. And I mean, like, it's kind of funny because it's the opposite thing of so many doom metal bands where they're buying old equipment, but they're paying tens of thousands of dollars for it
because it's good old equipment.
Yeah, it's vintage old equipment that still is in working order and doesn't sound like ass. Like that's so much of doom metal is just buying very expensive old amplifiers.
I wonder how much I could get from my cabinet that's in my ex-wife's basement.
I don't know. Find a doom metal band.
It's made. I think all of it is no longer all the manufacturers are gone. They're defunct.
Find out.
Have an Ampeg head and a sonic cabinet.
I don't know. I dropped my little thingy. I'll pick it up later.
He means his stylus for his.
Yeah, my dick fell off.
Here you go. Here's your little thingy.
My stylus for my little board that I write things on.
Right.
Even though I hardly wrote anything on it. I wrote down the EP title because it's ridiculous.
Right.
What does this slap?
This slaps.
Yeah, it slaps. It's Napalm Death. What the fuck?
Of course it slaps.
I didn't look up scores. I don't know if there was really a ton of review buzz. It's an EP. That's fine. I would. The next thing is, what's your favorite track?
My favorite track. What is my favorite track? I think the opening track. It's what's it called?
Narcissus.
Yeah, Narcissus is my favorite track.
I'm gonna go with the remix at the end. The
really?
Resentment is always seismic. I don't know.
You know what that reminds?
I like the moodiness. It's great.
Because if you like that, there's some albums that I don't think you thought you would like that you might like then.
I might.
Because you're aware of the band Fear Factory?
Yes, I'm aware of the band Fear Factory. It was one of the very first bands you had me listen to.
I know. And they had this thing where in the 90s, what they would do is they put out an album, and then the next album would be a really crazy remix of the prior album, and they would do that every other album. Would be that kind of thing, and a lot of the remixes are pretty like darker and moodier than the originals.
Nice.
And
I might be into that.
And it's technology that's definitely now 90s. But I mean,
I might be into it. I don't know. What metal are you bestowing upon Resentment is always seismic, a final throw of throws like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
I think it's kind of a novelty, so it can't go above a silver. But I mean,
yeah, I'll give it a silver as well. Yeah,
it's good. I really like that a lot. But yeah, there's enough novelty on here where you can't really gold it.
Yeah. I hadn't thought for a single moment about what I want to bring next week.
Really?
So that'll probably be something I decide off the air because I had not thought about it at all. And at the moment, I have to take a shit. So I have no room for any other thinking. So that's where we will begin our wrap up. If you like this podcast, well, go ahead and follow us on whatever service you're using to listen to us, and then find us on Facebook or Twitter and follow or like us there. And as I said, whatever you're using to listen to us, do the things you need to do to keep listening to us on that program.
Just keep clenching us.
Yep, just keep clenching. I'm doing a big old Kegel right now. Trying to hold in a fart that might be more than a fart.
Right. Never trust him.
Never trust him, folks. That's what we'll leave you with today.
Yes.
So thanks very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.